I'm going to record it. Perfect. We're recording. So, just to give you guys a little bit of background, I'm sure plenty of people will be watching this as we record and send out the recording. If you haven't met me before, my name is Nate Fischer. I am the CTO here at Local Viking, local brand manager. It's actually been probably 2 years now since I last have done something like this. And I think it's going to be something at least bi-monthly we're going to be doing. So I'll just come spend some time. If anybody wants to ask questions ahead of time, feel free to send them in to our support at Local Viking or support at Local Brand Manager. And I can get those answers ready for you. Otherwise, today I'm just going to do a brief maybe 20-minute demo of a new big feature that we are releasing to both Local Viking, and it's already in Local Brand Manager. I'll talk about some of the things around the feature, some of our future plans, and then once I get done, if Art or Abigail, you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me. Otherwise, we will send this out, and I'm sure we will have questions from some of the people that watch this on the other end. So to get started, I'm going to share my screen here and let me make sure that we can see it. So if I do that, all right, let me know if you can see this.
We can.
Perfect. All right. So this is from a presentation I did about a month and a half ago in Florida as we were kind of giving a preview to some agency owners. So the big feature, if you haven't seen it, is something that we're calling Geo Booster. Now, let me skip through my little intro here and let's go directly to what Geo Booster is. So even though I'm here as the CTO writing a lot of software, dealing with our tech stack, we also have an agency called Growth Foundry, and we work with tons of local businesses. We see the kind of day-to-day problems of running an agency at scale. And one of those major problems is content. So that's getting fresh content, getting content from clients that they actually like. And whether you're going out and getting freelancers to write content, there's always this back and forth of making sure that it's kind of picture perfect for the client in their voice. It's just a pain point, especially as you scale. And one of the interesting things about content is that if we think about us as agency owners or as small businesses, it's fairly difficult to be consistently creating content that is meaningful, that is engaging, and that is also throwing the relevant signals at the algorithm that we want to. So that's local relevance or topical relevance. Now, what GeoBooster does is attempts to solve this problem where it's not a complete replacement for your content creation needs, but it's kind of an auxiliary assistant where we have developed a mobile app. This is Android and iPhone native, you're about to see here in a second. And the entire point of it is that we put the native app in the hands of either the business owner or the team members of the business, and we allow them to start creating content as they're doing their work. So let's think we have landscapers, we have maybe plumbers, dentists, really any local business or any business at all. As they're going throughout their day-to-day, instead of sitting at the end of a week or once a month and thinking of a few content ideas, let's say you're a plumber going and fixing sinks and fixing bursted pipes and doing HVAC, you're actually able to do things like today, take before and after pictures of every job. Maybe you're an accountant and there is an update in the industry or something important with taxes or really anything. And what we have is this system to kind of capture these daily moments, if you will. And if we look at how this looks from an architecture perspective, so we have the mobile app. This is what is going to be in the hands of the business owners and their team. And as they're creating this content, whether it's check-ins, if you will, they're going to a job, taking maybe doing carpet cleaning, taking a before picture, taking an after picture, writing a few sentences about the maybe the neighborhood or the part of the city that they're doing the work in. And as they're taking these pictures and creating this content, it is getting fed into either local Viking or local brand manager. And then we have a native WordPress plugin that allows you to push the content out to your WordPress site. We also have a brand new feature that we're testing as of this morning that allows you to push this content to any site with a JavaScript snippet. We can create these moments and have them go to your GBP or your GMB. And then we also have a Zapier integration where you can push those moments to places like Facebook, like Twitter, like Instagram. So if you think of a business, maybe they have a couple of different people out in the field. Let's say take a landscaping company with 2 or 3 trucks. Every day they're out in the field. The guys and girls are doing work, doing some hardscaping, taking these pictures before and after, writing a little blurb about every job they do. And then as they're doing that, the content is being dynamically published to their GBP, to their WordPress site, and to their socials. So it's kind of just this system to help get more content for agency owners, to help get content published where it needs to go, easier, faster, and a lot smoother. So if we take a look here, this is just a screenshot. If you are at your phone or at any time you watch this, if you want to go into either the App Store on Apple or the Android store for any Android devices, you can search Geo Booster. So you want to put a space between those and you will see the app. In a few minutes here, I'm going to show us in the actual dashboard exactly how everything's wired together. So this is just a simple screenshot of the interface for creating the check-ins, or we're calling them moments now. We have some stuff going on the web application side that we'll go through, where you basically need to configure, set up the functionality, add the mobile users. We'll see that in a minute. A couple more things around categories that we'll talk about. And then just the ability to control the team members that have access to this and the different categories that content can be made under. And we'll see all of that in a sec. I'm going to show it live here. So the other piece of the puzzle is going to be the WordPress plugin. Now, the WordPress plugin is going to support a couple of different ways to bind content. So if you look here, we have a shortcode API. So imagine you have 2 service area pages, maybe one for Los Angeles, one for San Diego. As you're creating this content through the app, you are able to associate the content with a geo. We actually do that automatically, and then you can associate the content with a category. So maybe you have commercial plumbing and maybe residential plumbing, and then you have these cities or geos. You are able to, with the shortcode, take your service pages or your product or your service area pages and dynamically allow this content that's being created with the mobile app to be published to any of these pages. So simple example, if we had an LA page and we had a San Diego page and we had the shortcode on our LA page kind of calling out the city of Los Angeles, and then on our San Diego page, we had the same thing but calling out San Diego. As we're creating this content and pictures are being taken in the field, these moments are being created, they're going to be dynamically routed to the proper pages so that you're getting the exact content that Google wants to see. You're getting fresh content, you're getting relevant content, you're getting rich content because you have right now images, videos are about to be published by us. So that's kind of just the entirety of this system is just attacking the pain point of client created content and really allowing the client to be part of the creation process, and going a step further and allowing really any team member at a client's business to be a social media content creator, if you will. So we have the WordPress plugin. We're about to see this live. This is kind of the 2 different widgets. We have the map widget at the top that has these pins where all of your check-ins or your moments are going to be streaming into. And then we have this widget down here, which is actually going to show the individual check-ins. This is going to have kind of the important content that we really want Google to see. And this is how it is going to work with Zapier. So we take the pictures, we create the content with the mobile app. It's going to come into Local Viking or Local Brand Manager, and then it'll go out to Zapier. And then from Zapier, you can push it out to anywhere. It's going to, sorry for the low resolution photo here, but we'll see a better example. We also support posting these moments straight through to your GBPs. And there is the ability for you to have moderation. So we're going to see the moderation steps. So let's say you had a company with 1 or 5 or 10 employees that are going to have the app installed. You can choose with a employee that has the app installed, as they're creating this content, whether or not you want the content to automatically publish instantly, or if you want to have a period of time where you want to moderate the content, maybe edit, make sure that the wording of the check-in or the post is correct, maybe fix some images. Both of those are options. So we'll see those in a second. Now, to just touch on some usage ideas. So if you can't tell, I am much more on the engineering side of our business, not the world's most creative person, especially when it comes to local content and working with SMBs and creating content. But if you can just think about a couple of industries here. So landscapers, contractors, roofers, painters, people that really have a visual aspect of their job where there's a kind of a clear delineation of before the job happened, after the job happened, and some nice visual of the job happening. So really, these are the perfect industries for that. You can see if somebody redoes their backyard and it didn't look very good beforehand and it looks great after, that is a perfect type of business to be creating this kind of content. Other types of businesses that can be creating content on their kind of daily activities. So restaurants, think of restaurants creating new dishes, and somebody in the back kitchen can just snap a picture, make a little post talking about the new menu item that's being debuted this week. Maybe they're snapping a picture of the atmosphere on a Friday or a Saturday night, and it's just team members that would otherwise be sitting there waiting for customers, doing things in their normal, ordinary workday, where now if they have a minute or 2 minutes free and they're doing this throughout the week or throughout the month, you are going to be creating all of this extra content. All of it's going to be locally relevant. It's going to be things that potential customers want to see. It's the exact type of content that the Google algorithm wants to see. If we think of gym owners, new equipment that they get in, they can take a picture of it. Soon they'll be able to record a video of it. Any classes maybe that they have, group classes, they can take a quick video, or maybe some of their trainers just creating informational content while they're between training sessions, and just being able to constantly be pushing content to their website, to their GBPs, and to their social channels. Professional services, this is like lawyers, accountants, things of that nature. Admittedly, this is a bit of a harder nut to crack from a content creation perspective. Some types of professional services might have interesting types of content that can be created. Others, like maybe bankruptcy lawyers or forensic accountants, there's definitely a lot of industries where you have to get creative in terms of what type of content can you create on a consistent cadence or a consistent basis. Now, another one, dental. This is obviously you would need client permission and probably a waiver to be able to take pictures and post them online, but happy patients that just got their braces off or coming back for their first appointment after their braces are off. Perfect example of an area of content creation that this would be perfect for. So let's look really quick. So this was from about a month and a half ago. October 19th was the last edit I did here. So we are working on video support right now. The moments are images, and images only. Video isn't supported to post to your GBP or your GMB via the API. So you're only going to be able to push those videos out to your website and to your other social channels. We also have the ability for you to have the mobile app completely white labeled for your agency. So as of right now, the mobile app is called Geo Booster from the local brand manager side. We are in the process of getting the local Viking app pushed through the app stores. It's going to have a slightly different name, hopefully Local Booster. We're not completely done with the process yet. More schema options. So right now, as we'll see in a few minutes here, the posts that are embedded on your WordPress site, so in this case, it would be these boxes here. These are wrapped in a schema object. I believe it is the check-in schema. Let me find the proper schema here. Okay, so there is a schema.org object that is called a check-in. We should have it in some of our help docs, but we're basically wrapping each of these posts in a check-in object. We will soon have the ability to wrap reviews as we pull them out in a review object. So we do have schema support. Let me find my slides here. Now, native social platform integration. So right now, if you want to post this content through your Facebook, through to Instagram, that is going to go through Zapier. We are working on native integrations direct to Facebook, direct to Instagram, direct to Twitter. The WordPress agnostic check-in embed support. So this is actually done. This is what I began the session talking about. We will see a live demo of this in just a second, but this is basically the ability for you to have this content posted on any website via a JavaScript snippet. So when we first launched this a month and a half ago, there was only a WordPress plugin. Now we have a JavaScript snippet that can collect and publish these moments to any platform. It could be a Wix site, it could be a standard HTML and CSS static site, could be anything, and we can publish it. So really quick, let's take a look at the dashboard. Now I am looking at local brand manager. If your account is under local Viking, sit tight. We are hopefully going to be publishing the app in the App Store this week. We've been going back and forth with Apple for about the last month or so. But so for the local brand manager side, if you look at the top here, you're going to see this Geo Booster link. And if you click into that, the first thing you'll see if you haven't signed up is a little bit of a sales page talking about what it is. Then you'll be able to add the business on a per business level. So this is kind of an add-on that is unrelated to your location count. So if you had an account with 10 locations and you only want GeoBooster for one location, you can do that by enabling it for just one location. So let's go into my personal location here, which is Traffic Runners, my listing in San Francisco for the software company that builds local Viking. And once you've enabled the GeoBooster app, the first thing you're going to do is click on this Teams tab, and you are going to add users from here. So this is going to be the mobile app users. The user base, or like the user email and password, are not going to be the same for the mobile app as they are for the web app. So if you log in with like Nate at Local Viking to Local Brand Manager, and then you want to have the mobile app, you are going to have to add either yourself again here as a mobile app user, or you can add any of your team members or any of your clients' team members directly in here. You can choose to associate them if you have a business with multiple locations. An employee can be creating content, or the business owner, for any of those locations. You just want to ensure that they have been assigned those locations from this dropdown. And you can come in, put in their name, their last name, and then the email that you put in here, this is going to be where they receive the invite. So you're not going to create a password. We're going to put in a name here. So if I was doing like Nate at Traffic Runners, one of my other emails, and I click add employee, I'm going to get an email to Nate at Traffic Runners. I'm going to click a link and then I'll set my mobile app password, and then I'll be able to download the mobile app, or I'll be able to log into the mobile app once I've downloaded it. Now, the other thing to note here is this pre-moderation step. So this is on a per user basis. If you have some users that are creating content on the mobile app and maybe they're not the best at spelling, or you want to check their grammar, then you can go ahead and create this or turn on or toggle on pre-moderation. And anytime that this employee creates any content through the mobile app, it's going to show up in this tab here in a pending state waiting for your review. So if I trust the employee, or if I think that maybe it's the business owner with his mobile or her mobile account, then I can go ahead and uncheck that. And then any content they create is going to publish on their website and on their GBP in give or take 5 minutes from being created. So once I've added a user, the next thing I'm going to want to do is come to this settings tab. Now, the first thing you're going to see here is categories. So categories are going to be the ways that you want to segment your content and dynamically direct it to certain pages on your WordPress site to be published. So if I have a word, or if I have any site, not just WordPress, if I have a business and maybe I'm doing plumbing and I have commercial plumbing, I have residential plumbing, I have maybe pipe burst as a particular service that I do, and maybe water heater repair, I would come in here, create these 4 different categories. And now once I've created these categories on the web app side, those are going to sync into the mobile app, so that when a team member is publishing content from the mobile app, they'll come in, they'll upload a picture, maybe a couple pictures, they'll write a couple of sentences about the job that they just did, and then they'll select 1 or more categories. And then this category binding is what you will catch on either the WordPress side or the JavaScript snippet side, so that you can choose which pages a particular piece of content should be published to. So we'll come through, we'll create our categories. We will then do the WordPress integration. So if we click right here on this About page, we'll see a couple of helpful links. So if you want to grab the WordPress plugin, you will download the zip file right here. And then if you want to grab the mobile app on Android, that's the Google Play Store. If you want to grab the mobile app on Apple, that is the Apple App Store. And once you've done that, you are going to install the plugin on the WordPress side. The plugin is going to give you a webhook URL from the WordPress dashboard. You're going to paste that here. It'll also give you a bearer token, which is just basically an authentication key. You'll paste that here. If you want to have a Zapier integration, we will probably go over that separately at a future call. But you're basically going to come in here, put in your Zapier webhook URL, and then we'll click update. We'll grab this public token, and then we'll put the public token into the WordPress side. Once we've done that, it sounds like a lot. It's not too difficult. And if you need any help, we do have this help center. So if you click right here, this should theoretically open up the start of our GeoBooster help docs. So if you want to go down, you can look at GeoBooster settings. That's going to talk about some of these WordPress settings. We are just about to publish a WordPress specific help article that goes over the short codes and how to use those. Everything is going to be documented here in the help section. So let's go through. Once we have set up these settings, we'll click save, and in about a couple of minutes, we should see all of our settings sync up to WordPress from the category side. Any categories we've created will show up on the WordPress side. All of these moments, as WordPress is concerned, are native custom post types. So if you're familiar with WordPress, you will see these entities showing up in the WordPress dashboard as kind of native WordPress items. Now, once you are creating this content, what does it look like? So here is a very early, very raw demo of the two widgets from the JavaScript snippet perspective. Let me resize the window a bit. So as you can see, if you were deploying this for an actual business, the pins are going to be much more localized to the service areas that they're providing service in. We were just doing some mass testing with random data here, but you can see as jobs are being done and as these moments are being created, we are dynamically pulling the geo of each of these moments out of the phone and out of the photos as the posts are being made. So we're able to associate them with an exact latitude, longitude. And then you can see here, as photos are being added, this would be a single post. We have a little bit of content. We have a bit of images, and then we have, this is actually the category here. This would make a bit more sense if this was like a plumbing example and those plumbing categories carried over. But you can see here that we have kind of a masonry style widget just displaying all of the fresh content that's being published for a particular business. So again, this is not a WordPress site. This is actually just a static HTML page demoing the JavaScript snippet. I would expect that by probably early next week, we will have some help docs around using the JavaScript snippet. We are just now engaging with some customers to test the snippet. So if you are working with a client that is maybe on Wix or some website builder that isn't WordPress and you are interested in testing this, reach out to us and we can certainly handle the integration for you and get your customer all wired up. This example is a little bit plain from the category and the geo binding perspective. So right now, this would be an example of every moment or every check-in that's been created going to one page. In the real world, if we had a client site with maybe 10 service pages and 10 service area pages, each of those pages would be getting dynamic, unique content sent to it. So if you had like a service area page for commercial plumbing in New York City, then all of the content that was tagged as commercial for New York City would show up on that page, and that logic would follow through to really any of your service areas, any of your service types. So that was a good 30-minute intro here. It's definitely been a while since I've done something like this, so sorry if that was boring. Let me go ahead and take a look at some of the questions here, and I'll follow up. And then if anybody else has any others, feel free to ask. So Art has asked to include Pabbly along with Zapier for webhooks. So Art, is Pabbly a payments processor?
Pabbly is a Zapier knockoff.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. I'm gonna actually, Brett, will you remind me to bring that up to me later today when we chat? So I'm not gonna go out and say this without testing yet, Art, but the beautiful thing about webhooks is that they're kind of an agnostic data communication format. So I would suspect that if you literally just put in the Pabbly webhook URL right here, that everything will work without us doing anything. There's a small chance that we might have to slightly customize the format, but let me check into that today.
Okay.
And we should support that, if not immediately right out of the box, with very little work from the engineering side, maybe an hour or so of work to get that done for you. So We will test that out. Did you say Pabbly is free or is it kind of a budget?
It's a lower cost than Zapier. Zapier jacked their prices up pretty substantially. So Pabbly is coming in at the costs you a lot less. You can get lifetime months worth of stuff. That their business model is a little different, but same
Got
concept,
it.
just cheaper.
Okay, awesome. We'll check it out. We know all too well the pains of Zapier raising their prices. We connect a lot of stuff with Zapier, mostly on our agency side, less so on the software side. But okay, awesome. Then we will check in there and check some webhooks over there and make some help articles. Beautiful. Let's see here. Okay, Bucky is saying that he tried to upload a GIF or a GIF, depending on how you feel about that word, and it allowed it to load into the moment, but it did not operate as a GIF on the GBP once live. It was just the first still.
Yeah, I was
That's
just
an interesting.
testing to see if GIFs worked, and of course it just grabbed the first still. The moment actually allowed me to use the GIF, but on GBP it just showed up as the first still of that GIF.
That makes some amount of sense. I will. Yeah, Brett, can you make maybe a Trello ticket for that for the engineers?
I already
So
have.
beautiful. This is a very organic group call here. We're doing customer support, bug ticket filing, feature
It's a cool part of being small.
investigation. It is a cool part of being small. Hopefully, actually I prefer it kind of this small. I know the last time we did this, we used to do GoToWebinar. I was living in Ukraine, so that was like a lifetime ago at this point. Okay, so Art asks, since the app is location specific, what is the flow for an owner with multiple locations or an owner has two different businesses?
Sorry about that.
No worries, Bucky. Okay, so Art, good question. So the way that we've architected things from an engineering perspective is that any business, any person that has the app, as well as any website associated, can be associated with more than one location. So I think our primary thought there was like a multi-location business where all the businesses are the same. And let's say you might have a website and you have like 5 different locations, 5 different location pages for those locations, and you can basically come in, and the way that you do it is as you enable locations from this side, you're going to get a unique public token for each location. And then on the WordPress side, once you have the WordPress plugin installed, there's a section for you to click a plus button, and it allows you to add these public tokens. So if you had 5 locations, you would basically enable all 5 of them in the dashboard, go to the WordPress side, click the plus button and get 5 of these public tokens in. And then you have a business object that shows up in the WordPress dashboard. And if I can find my short code here. Okay, so it's not the best example since this wasn't included at the time that I made this, but there's basically another option in the short code that you can use that's like a business, and then you can use, I believe it's the place ID or some business identifier. Now that I say that out loud, the business identifier might be the name. Brett, if you can make another ticket, let's make sure that the short code support is based off of some unique identifier, because a lot of GMBs would have the same name for the same brand. So from the WordPress side, that's how that flow works, Art. From the mobile app side, let me see if I can show a quick example here on my phone. Basically, as the content is being created on the post creation page, there is a drop down for business if the individual has access to more than one business. So we've had some internal discussions, and I think this is going to be something that will be interesting to see as more and more companies use the software. But if we think about like let's pretend like it's a plumbing company, just to stay with this example, and you have a literal plumber that has the app, and we're talking to the plumber and we're like, hey, we want you to start creating content as you're going and doing plumbing. When you finish a job, take a picture and create this post. And if that plumber has access to like 2 or more locations, and then the plumber has to select as he's creating the post which business the content is related to, it feels like it might be a little bit abrasive. That's actually how it works now. I don't know if you can see this, but there's like a select where once I selected it, now I only have traffic runners there. But if I used to have a couple, if I had several others, I would come in here, create the post, and then I'd have to select the business that it's for. That is the current flow. We're certainly open to any ideas or suggestions how to make that less painful. For Art's case, where if you're thinking if one business owner has 2 completely unrelated businesses, it would be the same login, and then they would have to select the correct business as they've created the content, and then they choose what business is associated with. So that is definitely how the flow works, and certainly I'm expecting some feedback from customers and from clients as it gets battle tested, and as we start to get questions like for real multi-location businesses that have a ton of locations, it can get pretty hairy. So I'm imagining there's going to be some permissions where you're going to want to have the people that have the app assigned to as few businesses as possible, so that there's less area for them to screw up or to make the wrong choice when selecting a business as possible. So that's how the flow goes there.
Right, so let me just run a thought through. If I'm working with my clients and I'm an employee for each of the locations each of the companies that I'm working with, right?
Yep.
So that I can load content for them, or that's part of the gig, right? So yep. I now have 15 companies on my list. I got one login. Do I add myself to each of those 15 companies with the same login?
That's a great question, Art. Yes. So what I believe, now that you're asking this, I believe how it works is when you add yourself to one business and then you attempt to add yourself to another business. No, actually, I fake out. So this is how it's going to work. So this add employee page, these businesses here this is like a multi-select. So one of my businesses used to be a sexual health testing company. So here's one of our old locations. So you can see if I was adding myself, Art, I would just come in here and I would select all 15 businesses in your case. And then as you log into the mobile app, when you go to create content, you're going to see all 15 of those businesses. You also have the option to create these moments, if you will, directly from the dashboard. So let's say, for instance, that somebody went out in the field, they did a landscaping job, and then they forgot to actually publish it. Well, the office administrator or you as the marketer can collect the content from the employee, and you can just come in here and say, okay, I'm going to add that moment from here. And you have the exact same functionality. Now, you do lose a bit of the native EXIF data that comes from the picture being taken by the phone, and we don't actually have to manipulate EXIF data at all. It just comes kind of organic, if you will. Also, if you have employees that have moderated content, then that content is going to show up here. and you're going to be able to see that as pending. I don't think I have any that are pending, or actually I have several that are pending. So you do have the ability to edit and to change any of this content from the dashboard so that you're not restricted to kind of messing around with the mobile app to do that kind of stuff.
Does that include changing the business? Because I screwed it up and I put McDonald's down for Taco Bell, and now I want to correct that. Can I correct that here if it's moderated?
That's a good question, Art. You can correct it. Yep. So that is a drop down that is changeable as well. So in this case, if you're publishing through your GBP, local Viking and local brand managers support non-API locations, like if you're GeoGrid tracking a competitor. So you're going to want to make sure that that is an API enabled location, but you can indeed swap that around, and you can swap categories, and you can also swap what employee, if any, would be associated with that content.
Okay.
Beautiful. So the next thing today, I'd keep it fair. I guess it's coming up on an hour here in 15 minutes. In terms of the GeoBooster app, is there any other questions from anybody? Any kind of ideas on what type of content you can imagine your clients creating? I know we've been introducing this at our agency from two different levels. One is kind of a portion of a self-service product. Another is just our traditional retainer-based engagement. And the way that I've been kind of discussing with clients and even in some sales calls is I talk about just the importance of, number one, if we're thinking about SEO, really two of the pillar pieces of SEO. One is content and content creation, fresh content, relevant. Everybody in SEO knows that content is king, especially over the last 5 to 10 years. The other piece, obviously, being link building and links and citations and things of that nature. So I really start the conversation out by talking about the two pillars, and then just kind of guide the client to the fact that, hey, creating consistent content is something that the algorithm is looking for. It's looking for consistent, fresh, relevant content. We all know that doing that is a pain, and it's either really expensive if you want good writers to be writing it, and even then you're probably not going to like every piece of content that's created. This is kind of the perfect medium where the client can be engaged in their own content creation process. They can show off the things that they're proud of. They can put the things that they want to be put in front of potential customers in a much more frictionless manner. And I just kind of talk about how this is this isn't a replacement for all of your content needs for your local SEO or your SEO campaigns. This is much more something that goes alongside, that is kind of a power up to your content plan, where you can actually now spend more time and more money focusing on higher value long form content and supplement your content strategy with this more frequent, more authentic style of content creation. So that's kind of been my angle. I'm not at all a salesperson, but that angle has been working really well. I think everybody in the industry, whether you're on the agency side dealing with the pains of content, or whether you're an SMB that has worked with 5 agencies in the last 5 years, and you're just kind of consistently seeing the pain points of content creation. So that's really how I've been selling this and positioning it, and it's been really powerful thus far. So I'm excited to see more and more of the customer base sell it. Certainly excited to see some of the use cases that we haven't thought of that will inevitably come up. And then in the future, we are thinking of trying to tie the platform together more so where you can identify some of the moments that you're creating and their effect on visibility via the GeoGrid. So that's probably going to be, well, that'll definitely be a 2023 thing, seeing as it's the end of the year and not much is going to get done in December other than a couple of smaller things we have planned. But we do have that big holiday season coming up. But so that is that is the demo for today. We are going to be sending out the recording. So if you do want to rewatch this, or if you came late and you want to catch the beginning, feel free. Otherwise, be on the lookout. We're going to create a landing page for this type of AMA. I would say definitely not weekly, but probably we'll do this bi-weekly. So not the week after next, but the following week, if Thanksgiving permits. I am Nate Fischer. Again, thank you everybody who joined us. Thank you, Art, for coming and asking some questions. Obviously, if you have any other questions, feel free, hit us up on support. If you are in Local Brand Manager or Local Viking, you should see a chat widget over here at the bottom right. Otherwise, you can hit us up via email. We're on the Facebook groups. We are available for contact. I hope everybody has a fantastic, Wednesday afternoon. And if you need me or if you need the team, Nate at Local Viking and CC support at Local Viking. So Brett and Jen and some of the other crew keep me honest on responding to my emails. Thank you very much, everybody, and be on the lookout for this being sent out sometime in the next probably 2 hours. And we will see you in exactly 2 weeks.
Awesome